A flash of light burst into the darkness shortly after 18-year-old Layla drifted off to sleep. The young woman now found herself in a dark world, with a light coming closer and closer. "Layla, hear my words," a voice spoke from the light. "You are the Spectre. Arise and fulfill your mission. Find Cyril, son of Rowan, who holds the birth name of Valen. He must be crowned king and bring back the rightful line of the kings of Sanhedrin. Find him and bring him home to be crowned." Layla tried to move. She tried to reply, but couldn't. She could feel her body, her mouth moving in her half-asleep state, but invisible bonds held her fast. The next thing she knew, she was awakening as the sun stabbed through the cracks in the roof. Layla sat up and looked around. It was long past time she got up and helped with the morning chores. She rolled out of the lumpy bed and stepped onto the rough wood floor of the 3-room shack. She grabbed her clothing, all simple brown leather made from animal skin. She slipped on her blouse and pants, fastened her belt around her waist, and slid into her boots. "Layla, are you up yet?" Penda's voice called from the other room. "Yes, Mother," Layla answered, draping her wool overcoat across her arm and heading for the lopsided door that hung loosely from the top hinge. Layla walked out into the central room where she was greeted with the aroma of breakfast cooking over the fire, a warm pot of vegetable stew. The primitively built wooden bowls and spoons were already placed on the small 3-legged table waiting to be used. The table was worn and coarse, the harder grains in the wood standing above the softer regions that had been worn by years of use. Penda took off the apron that covered her gray cloth dress and pulled her red hair back behind her ears. "Your father is already out in the fields." She watched Layla put on her overcoat that hung down to her knees, noticing she seemed distracted. "Are you all right?" Penda's blue eyes shone with motherly worry. Layla looked up at her mother. "Okay, yeah. I just had that dream again." She squinted and shook her head. "Every time it seems a little more real. This time it was as if I were awake, like it wasn't really a dream at all, only I couldn't move." Penda put her hand on Layla's cheek and smiled wearily. "It's only a dream, sweetheart. Now hurry up and eat so you can go help your father. He's bound to come looking for you soon." Layla nodded and forced an insincere smile on her face. Inside, she hoped her mother was right. Sure, it would be nice for a change to get away from her small village and boring life to do something exciting. However, being the Spectre, as her dreams called her, was far beyond that. The Spectre was the chosen hero of the Varsian kingdom, the greatest champion of that generation. Chosen by Taviaul himself, the Spectre would be guided by the Varsa to face the greatest challenges of that generation. Layla positioned herself on the stump that sat beside the table and dipped herself some stew. After a quick breakfast, she walked out the raucous old door that crudely separated the inside from the out. Layla strolled across the damp ground and out into the small field that her family worked at the manor. She looked around. The manor was active, with busy serfs who toiled day in and day out to scrape a meager living off the fertile land. It wouldn't be too hard to do, except for Sir Elwyn, the king's advisor, seemed to take everything extra the poor farmers made, leaving each family just enough to make it through the winter. A few of the rickety little shacks still had faint columns of smoke, rising from their chimneys and circling aimlessly into the sky. However, most of the families were outside already, running hurriedly up and down the soft roads.